I'm recording at this point. This is Dr. Dennis L. Waters Sr., and I'm working with this aspect of recording on the Spreaker, I believe is pronunciation of this particular platform's name. And we're also sending it via the various outlets, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I believe, and others, out to the world. And I'm seeking, by the grace of God, to articulate a number of things. One, who I am, two, the particular journey that I've experienced in my years of living, and then also the vision, if you will, the mission, the vision, the objectives that we're seeking to bring to pass, and the various things that we are talking about and how they might impact your world, how they might bring about your world, and how all of the pieces of this fit together. And one of the things I want to say that while we talk about this aspect of how that all of this works together for an individual, and that there are specific items that work for you and will bring about your particular life. And when we speak of the practices, there are, of course, the matter of what we call meditation. There is that of affirmation, sacred prayer, or scientific affirmative prayer, as we call it, and in another setting called the ABCs of prayer, which was dealing with the aspect of ask, believe, and receive it or claim it by returning thanks, and that's a matter of actually arriving at the point where, according to the individual never got it, who's a mystic, where you feel it, where you actually know it to the point that you experience it. Individuals such as Ernest Holmes call that the aspect of treatment. He called that the aspect of treatment. And when I look at it from a principle standpoint, it is basically the same thing, whether you call it treatment or whether you call it the aspect of the ABCs of prayer. It has to do with bringing the mind to the point that you actually believe what God has said. And since God is in this realm that is called reality, or the kingdom of heaven, and that kingdom is within us, then that transformed mind, remember that transformed mind, according to the book of Romans, the 12th chapter, it says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind, by the word of God. That's what we're talking about here, having a transformed mind. So I say to people that this is not magic that we're talking about. This is not magic. People want, to pop the fingers and then something happens. I don't teach that. I don't believe in it. I have not experienced that. This is a process of growth, of development. All of those things are taking place. And as a result of those things taking place, then the results come about. And individuals who want some type of overnight experience, that's not what this is about. This takes time. This takes growth. This takes development, primarily of the individual. And so it's vital that individuals actually understand that. And that's what we mean by I will restore. It is the individual that is being restored, and the individual who then brings about the changes that they want to see in their lives and in their community, in their family, all of these kinds of things. It's the individual who is bringing that about. The change that is being done is in the individual, and the place of that change is in their spirit, in their mind, what we call in their restore matrix. The matrix is a womb. You're being born again. You're being made over. And this time it is happening consciously. You're doing it intentionally. You're doing it in line with and in harmony with, in an awakened state with the divine. And so this entire aspect is what we're talking about. And so there's this aspect of meditation, the aspect of sacred study, the aspect of visualization or visioning. Both of those are important. And when we speak of visioning, we have in mind this aspect of something that is divinely intended. The idea that we have there is, of course, that the statement in the book of Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb. Now, there is a you. That's before you are formed in the womb. That's vital to be understood. Many people don't even talk about that. There are many Christian pastors that don't think about that. But there is a you before you are formed in the womb. And that you has a purpose. And the thing is to awaken to that you, Spirit already knows that you, according to that text, Jeremiah chapter 1 and verses 4 through 9. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And there's a purpose to that. I ordain you a prophet unto the nation. So that you are awakening to. There's another text, and when I read it, it says the counsel of peace was between them two. Let's take it that Spirit was already there, and you in spirit form was already there. So we have two. The counsel of peace was between them two. And out of those two, I move to the aspect that I will restore. And so there's the restoration of the divine that is being done. And that's what we're talking about I will restore, the realization of who you really are. Psalms, the 82nd division and verse 6 says, ye are gods and all of you are sons of the Most High. It's a very powerful level of understanding that we're talking about here. And so that comes about, as I said, through these practices, the realization of meditation. Meditation is for this purpose of having you and God, and there's this singleness that comes about as the two seemingly become one, definitely. This undivided attention on the divine. That's what meditation is, undivided attention on the divine. And you can call that worship as well, or being in liminal space, as one would call it. You can look up liminal space. I think about that from the standpoint of when I think about the hero's journey and comparing that to something like, say, the aspect of the Star Wars saga. There's always been, especially the first Star Wars saga, there was that space where they went into where Luke Skywalker, if you're old enough to understand that, if not, you can perhaps get I'm sure they are almost like collector's items now, where you can get the videos or the movies where Luke went into the bar for the first time. Obi-Wan, who is someone like a sailor, according to Joseph Campbell, when he talked about that, like a sailor who'd already been out to sea. And when he went into that bar, he was able to see there that there had already been sailors that had already been out to sea. But Luke had never been out to sea. He had never been out to space. But he went into this space for those who had already been out, and then those who were initially going out. And that's what this space is that I'm talking about, this liminal space. It's the space where all things are possible, where all your dreams, something you've never had before, never experienced before, you step into this space of your dreams that's already divinely intended for you. And you feel in that space that something that has not been is real. Something that has not been is real. That's what we bring together, meditation and visualization and envisioning. All of that takes place in that particular space. And that's what we're encouraging individuals when it comes to practices. That's what we're encouraging individuals to do. And for some, practicing is easier initially than actually understanding policies, than actually understanding what principles they're working with. And so we talk about these practices. There are about 7 different practices that a person is encouraged to do on a consistent basis over and over again. And it takes time to get this to be something that you're doing consistently. And when I say time, for some, it might be a week. Others, 21 days, it is said, to establish a habit or a discipline. And then for others, it may be 6 months. It may be 3 months. It may be a year. For some, just staying at it. It can be a lifetime. But that's the commitment. That's the discipline that we're talking about. And you're not rushing to be. You're being. And that's what we're talking about. So the aspect of moving to that. Also, when we talk about a person growing, a person does not grow in isolation. A person grows in a community. And it's vital, as we talk about this, that we have a beloved community. You would hear individuals like it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who talked about a beloved community. And we say that you want to be in a beloved community where you can share your story of becoming, and you can hear the stories of others who are becoming and growing and developing. And there's that community, that the beloved community, a place of unconditional love and acceptance. You're practicing that. You're growing in regard to that. And you're benefiting each other in the midst of that. And so that becomes vital in regard to this as well. And so all of those things are taking place in regard to this beloved community. And so we say to individuals, join or form a beloved community. If you know of one that is already in existence, then certainly join that. That's what we're creating at Patreon, as we call it, patreon.com. We're setting up different levels where individuals will be able to be in a community that fits them. And at a certain level is called Patreon, is called the aspect of practices, policies, principles in regard to that. We're working with that. And each level has a level of teachings that are taking place in regard to what we're doing. We have in one place where we're talking about visualization. We have visualization books and visualization articles. We have affirmation articles that we have on the website that we make available to individuals. All of those things, we're working to get those items up so that when a person is listening to consciousness is the only reality, they then have those affirmations that are available to them so that they can see that. They then have those visualization articles, or they have those visualization resources as far as books and things like that are available. They have the articles, the sermons of Neville Goddard that are available to them in regard to all of those things are things that we're working on and to bring those up. And then we have also, we've recently been able to actually set up our site there, our authors page there at Amazon.com. So we're getting that in place as well, the authors page at Amazon.com, and bringing all of that in this space of virtual reality, as we call it, in this visual world, or this internet connected world. We are able to do that so there's something that goes all around the world because of the aspect that we have listeners. We know that we have listeners, people who are downloading our podcast are in all parts of the world. That includes Germany, that includes India, that includes Africa. We are clear that this is an international ministry. This is an international empowerment. On the one hand, we call it ministry because my original beginning had to do with becoming a minister and this whole aspect of working with that. But as I said, I do executive coaching and executive consultation, if you will. And all of this has to do with the build-up of the human individual. And so we're working with it from that standpoint as well. The building up of the individual really has to do again with these steps that we're talking about, which we call initially the 8 A's, and having that individual walk through those steps. And the 8 A's, if you're not familiar with them, we show individuals to go from the aspect of acceptance and then, awareness, acceptance, assurance. Then they have association, which I just spoke about when I spoke about liminal space and the whole aspect of worship and stepping into this particular space where you are right in the middle of who you have been and who you desire to be, and you feel in that moment the wonderfulness of who you are and who you could be. And that whole aspect comes in and you feel that because you know that is who God is in you. And then after that, there's association, that's community again. Then there's the assignment, that's who you were purposed to be, destined to be before the foundation of the world. And then there's accountability, so that you have individuals who are there who are holding you accountable to the values and the beliefs that you have promised to yourself, and then there's the assimilation. All of that is both something that is short term and then it's long term as far. And then the whole community is what we're talking about there as well. That whole aspect of association, when we're working with that, I think about a television program that was, well, actually it was a movie as well. It was called Star Trek, but it's in all the others as well. But Star Trek, but the captain of the original Star Trek series was a fellow called Kirk, Captain Kirk. And he would always speak of his devotion and commitment to the Enterprise. And I've just got off a series of training in which an individual was talking about that the desire for the company to go forward, the importance. There are people that are really in a certain kind of way that their main concern is just their main concern, just themselves. But the larger community is vital, and you want people who are working with you who have a concern about the community. The concern about community. And you want to be with individuals who are concerned not just about their little small piece of the earth, so to speak, but the larger concern is their concern about the community. And they are there to support and to help grow and to help manifest and help bring forth the larger mission and vision of the community. All of that is included in what we have in mind when we're talking about the whole aspect of I will restore. Because, as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. That's what community is. That's what we're working with in regard to that. And so the resources and everything we want to make available to individuals that are committed to this aspect of growth and development and just becoming more and more. And we know that it has all of the benefits on the individual level. We know it has all of the benefits on the organizational level. We know why, because we've done this before and have seen it manifest and have seen it already bless people in tremendous ways. And so I have every confidence that as we build this time, we're going to do it even better than what we have done in the past. We've seen individuals come forth, as I said before. I've seen people just come forth. And what we are doing now, the difference is really that it's international. I've seen it done on a local basis and being a part of a larger organization. I've seen that done. I've gone to school to study leadership. That was my one intent. I wanted to understand what it meant to lead. And when I was introduced to my friend, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, here was a person who was leading a local organization, much bigger than what I had ever led. And then it was also an international organization. And he was leading that in a way that I wanted to model. I wanted to emulate. And so I was just so pleased with him and what he was doing and the lives that he was touching, the people that he was benefiting. And then I studied it at school and everything like that, and just came to the conclusion as I talked with Spirit, as God worked with me and what God was doing for me. My professors were already saying as much to me. They were already Dr. Kane Hope Felder at Howard University School of Divinity, which is the same school that Howard University is the same school that Kamala Harris had gone to as well. And then I had been at Oakwood College, Oakwood University now. That's the same school that the chaplain of the Senate, Chaplain Barry Black, Commander Barry Black had attended in one point of his time. And while I was at both of those, I had leadership positions and everything like that. I was a teaching assistant to my professor there at Howard University, Dr. Kane Hope Felder, and he had just encouraged me to be the person that he saw that Spirit had called me to be. And so that's what has motivated me up to this particular point. And I want to just go forth and do what I'm divinely intended to do. And so this is a little bit about what we're doing. Look for us at patreon.com. Look for us on the web, real, R-E-L, coach, real-coach.com, and DRDL Waters senior.com. All of those places are places where we are. Send us an email. Info at iwillrestore.com, and we'll get back with you. We'll supply you and give you directions about how to get in contact with us a bit more and see where we travel together. Blessings. Bye-bye.